Me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Boy, do I have a story for you because I'm a medium. I feel like there's so many I could share, but I'm going to share this one that I've been kind of trying to be more open about sharing. So basically, the year was 2000 and I'm going to go ahead and just say 2007, maybe 2008. And I had gone to the Queen Mary for the very first time, at least the very first time that I can recollect. So it was my sister and it was my niece who had to have been like 7, or maybe 8, but I think she was 7, maybe younger, but 7 sounds about right. And we had decided to go to Long Beach and go to the Queen Mary. Now, I recently did a very good story on me seeing a physical ghost at the Queen Mary, so check it out. But this one is like the OG story of how I felt that ship is very haunted. Remember that my dad, not too long before this trip, had bought me my first ever digital camera. And if you know, you know, because right now, we are so lucky to have these phones that take great quality photos, but back then, like, yeah, you had your flip phones, but they were not really good resolution. And so I was so ecstatic to get a digital camera. And of course, there were limited amount of photos that I could take on my digital camera. I think like we had gotten like the lowest memory gig, so I could only take maybe like 10, 15 photos or something like that. So we had gone to like the second floor of the ship, and I think there was like a gift shop there. There was like what looked to be a restaurant. I want to say it is the second floor. And my sister was so exhausted that like as soon as we got to the second floor, she just propped herself on one of like the lounge couches there and just dozed off basically. Meanwhile, I was like so happy to be on one of the most haunted ships. And so I started to explore. My niece went into one of the rooms and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna get in trouble. So then like I run over there to try to get her out of the room, but I saw that this was like an empty banquet hall. There's like the stage, there's this weird grandfather clock in this banquet hall. It was resting up against what would be the stage if people are performing. But other than that, it was an empty banquet hall. I think all the chairs and tables were pushed up against the wall. So there's just this big, echoey, empty space. So she's over there singing and dancing and just having a great time. So of course I take out my digital camera and I start taking a few photos. Keep in mind they're limited, so I didn't take a lot of photos. So when I took the photos, I did look at the little view, like the screen that was on my digital camera. As I said before, these are like older, like one of the first digital cameras of like the early 2000s. And even like looking at some of the photos through the screen was just not always the best experience or quality. But when I took the photo, I did notice what seemed like some type of like a white reflection, if you will, kind of like when you see orbs or like, I'm going to just insert this image here. But yeah, like I was like, okay, this is really interesting. I wonder what that is. So didn't think anything of it. We go back to the main area, we check in on my sister, and then we head out. So, I fly back home. I'm now heading back to Minnesota. I'm looking through my camera and all the photos that I took on the trip while I was here in LA. And I see the photo that I took at the Queen Mary. And this time I'm messing around with the controls on my camera and I realized that I could zoom in. So as I'm zooming in, I notice what appears to be a man inside the grandfather clock that was against the stage. And I'm like, what am I seeing here? So I was so excited to get back home and upload this image to my computer. At the time, I had like a Windows computer, like Windows 2000 something. And that was the thing, you would upload your images on a computer and then you would like upload it on MySpace or something like that, which these images were going to exactly that, MySpace. So, but before I could do that, I get home, I call my best friend up because I'm like, hey girl, I'm back from LA. We gotta catch up. And then I have like my friend Joey, he lived like down the block from me. And so he came over because he would skateboard around like block and even in front of my house sometimes. So it's my best friend. It is my friend Joey. And I'm like, guys, I have something to show you on my camera, but you guys have to let me know what you think it is. So I show them the image on my digital camera because I wanted to know that I wasn't going crazy. You know what I mean? Like, am I seeing things? So we zoom in on the image and they agree that this looks to be like a man next to this grandfather clock. So upon obviously like realizing that I wasn't the only one that saw this, I rush over home and I'm trying to upload this picture on my computer. So of course I have my friend with me. I have my neighbor who is also my friend with me, and we're waiting for these images to upload on the computer. But guess what happened? The apparition in the image had just vanished. And of course, what do I do when it doesn't work and it doesn't upload? I just don't upload the image. I ended up deleting it from my computer because I figured that no one was going to believe me. I should have just kept the damn photo. And then I lost the camera. So this is why this sounds so made up, because what a weird coincidence.